Hello and welcome. Today we're going to take a look at this new extension, Looker Studio. Now, Looker Studio has been around for a while. This is Google's business intelligence option, which similar products would be like Microsoft's BI for making charts and graphs, or Tableau if you've used that. And basically, this is Google's version of that. And there's this new one, quick create a report. So you can use data from Google Sheets, which you could already, but now it's just a lot faster and easier. And if you're like me and you've just kind of explored new things and saw that there was like a new icon over here, um, we're just going to go through some of the basics of it. So I have these two different tables, and I'll make sure to share it. The favorite dates has just the person ID that we can use to join later on, and kind of this age information. It's all static outside of this age range I made. Basically, if it's less than, so if someone's born before 1980, it's going to say old. Not to say if that's yours, I'm not trying to call you old. It's just kind of the bins that I used for this example, or, like buckets of putting people in. So, take no offense, please. Here, if it is between, because this would happen first in the if statement, if it's between 80 and 2000, then normal. Then the last one is 2000 or more, young. So that's just something that we can use for this data. Now over here, which is going to be the first thing that we use, is the favorite thing. Now there is the favorites here, and this is ran between, and this function basically just pulls a number and will make data for it. So if you want to refresh the data to get something totally different, you can go to this refresh page, unclick, and then click it again, and then these colors will change. So, green, purple, orange, refresh again, green, 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 purple. And here, I'll just use this. I copied this over, so we'll just use this data here for the example if you want to follow along with exactly what I'm using. Otherwise, you can feel free to use this favorite one and get different random insights. So again, all this is just randomly generated. So let's get started. We're on this page here, which is static. And I just wanted to show, let's say you have another list over here with nothing on it. If you push Looker Studio, create a report, you're going to have this quick, just like, okay, which source list, and then what you want, and then create. Now here, if you have other data that doesn't have a header row like that, then you're going to have an error. So, make sure that you have whatever table you want, or you can do a selected range. Just that's not going to refresh if you have more data. So hit create and it'll open up. If you've not done this before, it might give you kind of the do you want to give Looker Studio permission? Here's some, different policies, things like that. Here we're in Looker Studio, and so this will be the report that has all of those entries. And here, if you just kind of quickly going through these different options, file will look similar with version history. You can make new reports, copies, downloads, themes, and layouts. And you can go ahead and switch it if you want. I personally like the dark theme. I might also adjust this part here. Just make it like a gray and change the title. Just make it white. Just say this one is favorite things. I did try here to change the colors to these, and I just could not. So I'm just going to delete them. We'll make some of these again later on, but I don't know. It was taking too long. And if you add a new one, then it'll be with a theme. So that's just what I ended up doing. Here, the edits will be very similar, different options like undo, redo. View, you can just kind of change the views. The biggest thing that I use is refresh data, just in case more entries were added. You can use that to manually refresh it so it has the latest data. Here you can insert a bunch of charts or controls and different elements. Pages will be the different, like if you want another page to this report. So if you do that, there are going to be these two here, and right now they have the same thing because these are report levels, but we'll get to that in a second. You can arrange, you have resources if you want to look and manage different options, and then of course get some community help too if you want to, learn a little bit more about this. So we're in page 1 here, and these are the two charts. Now in Looker, one of the nice dashboard elements is you can actually drill into the data by clicking it. So you can notice here this magenta is at 40. If you push this, it's switching and now showing only the true values here, which in this case was cat's better than dog. If the person said true, that means they're a cat person. So if you wanted to in the title, you could even say cats better than dogs or like cats true, dogs false, whatever you want to make this make sense. But I'm just going to have cats better than dog, and then you'll have the true and false. So again, you can drill into this data and change the charts. One thing to note is that there's these two different options of report level or page level. If you right click and say make page level, you can see that that no longer transfers to the second page. And here, if this is a page level and you click it, it will not affect the report level. And then if it's on a report level and you click it, it will affect page levels or other report level options. If they're both page level, then they will affect each other. So you have those kind of two options. And again, if you have a new page, it'll not show it anymore. That's kind of the way to get your data to, talk to each other and edit. Let's say here that we want to add another breakdown dimension. So we have the colors, and let's say that we want to know in this chart, the cat's better than dogs. You can see here that now you have them listed next to each other. And, you know, that can give a little bit more insight than like clicking. If you do click these, it will still affect it, although this doesn't make the chart very useful. You don't really need this one now, unless you want to just look at the dogs or the cats. So again, totally up to you on how you want to adjust your data and how it looks. If you're wanting to add different things, you can go to add to chart. Let's say donut chart, which is essentially a pie chart, but in data here. Oh, that was the one I was actually thinking. Here we have the color one. And again, if you're pushing into these, it'll just show the one. And then, kind of these two being connected might make sense. And then this one on its own. But again, up to you. One thing that to note is that the colors automatically get assigned based off of the style that you choose and the dimension value. You can actually edit it so that they have the specific colors. It's kind of, maybe this is a little more magenta. So since these are colors, you can actually adjust it. So when you look at the color, you know what you're clicking on. Green, I might switch to this green, and then red. I might just make a better red. That, done. Close. So now you can kind of see the colors that people are choosing, which to me add to the visualization versus if I'm seeing a color but the name is different, it would confuse me. So again, you have these numbers here. So if it's harder to differentiate the colors, you'll have a key here and you can click on that to be included. Again, there are different options here. Another thing you can do is add controls. So controls allow you to do like sliders, checkboxes, drop downs. So drop down, these were the things that I was deleting. So cat's better than dog. You could have this drop down there. You could even do favorite color instead. And this would allow you to actually pick a couple of them. So maybe you just want to compare magenta and blue. You can do that and you can see everything on this page gets changed. Now, let's say that this one is at report, or maybe this one, report level. You can see that this slider will not affect the report level because the report level will be on all of them. So again, it is up to you how you use it. Just keep that in mind if you have those different controls that you're doing to filter. Other charts that might be useful in this case, and again, there's a lot more, like there's gauges, waterfalls, tree maps people like, scatter plots if you have multiple map datas that, can be super helpful for like lines or map boundaries, etc. But you could do something like a scorecard. And this one is counting distinct. So I'm just going to switch it to count. So that shows that we have 200 records here. And, we could have this and duplicate it. And you could do one as a report level. And this would be let's say instead of favorite colors, record count. And so you could call this total record count. And then maybe this one, say like total from filter. So again, when you're going to here and choosing false, you can see how this changes, but this one does not. So again, that might be something that is helpful. Maybe I'll put this over here, make sure you can see it all. Total from filter, move this down a little bit. And so now you kind of have this stuff adjusting. I might have this a little lower. Oops. So again, totally up to you. Now, I'm going back to the data here. Let's say that we add some more. Now, I'm just gonna add, I don't know, say 30 records. Oh, no, 30 records. And let's just copy these and paste it down. So we're gonna get a lot more orange and purple, and we should see 230. So going back here, it doesn't just refresh like automatically. I'm gonna go to the view data and refresh. Now we have 230, and we can see that there are a lot more purple and orange, and everything here gets updated. So now we have that up to date, and I'm just gonna go to a new page here. In this one, I'm gonna actually add some more data. And you can go down to this bottom, add data, and there's a lot of different options to choose from. I'm going to do Google Sheets, and I'm going to actually go to that favorite things dates. It'll kind of give you the options, use the first row or include specific data. I'm going to leave it as is and push add. You do have to, keep in mind if there are other editors that they'll have to be added to the report. They should be able to edit it, stuff like that. I know sometimes this does this. I'm not really sure why, but if you just close it and then expand it again, it's valid. But in any case, here we have the favorite things data. So now we have these two different data sets we can have. Now, when you click into it, it'll show where the data source is. So in this case, the color one is with this one. The dates are totally different ones. So let's add a chart now, and you can have charts showing different data. Here we have the full name from Google Sheets. I'm just going to switch it to favorite dates. And now this shows the different young, old, normal. And maybe you want to have these connected. They're not because they're in different data sets. So this is actually not going to be able to, work together unless you do something called blend data. So here I have the favorite dates, and then I can join another table. So these are the of added data sources already. So it'll be this one here. If you've ever used joins before, you can, it'll look like SQL join operator. So there's like left outer, right outer, inner, full outer, and then cross. And you can click into it to see the descriptions. Basically, this is saying take everything from this first table and make any records that match the join field there. Right outer would take this other table and then do the same thing on this one. Inner only does what is connected between the two. Full outer checks everything from the two different ones and joins them. So in this case, it does make a difference because we have 230 records in the right. So this would be 230, and then there's going to be 30 null date ones. Left outer would be the 200, and then would leave out those 30. If we did the full outer, and let's say we added another 20 different records to table one, so like there's 20 new unique in that, 30 unique in the other, and 200 shared. If we had that, this would be the 250 because it would take everything and join what it can and leave null in both of those ones where there aren't records. Cross is more for like transactional, like there's multiple things. This one, since the people or the records, that's not going to really make sense. So I want the null values in the 230. So I'm going to do right join. The fields that I'm going to join will be, oh, forgot to add them. So back up here, the dimensions, I just had age, range, and full name. So I should add birthday, person ID, year. I just want to add everything. Full name, cats better than dogs, favorite color, person ID. Now when we configure them, I'm going to do this right outer join, and it's person ID to person ID. So save, hit save. And now this is blended data. So you have to be careful. I mean, again, it's still not going to work because this is the blended data, whereas this isn't the blended data. So I'm going to use and switch this data source to blended data. And now this is updated with these different ones. And I'm going to go ahead and go into it. And now it's going to adjust. Here, if you look at the records, they will add up to 200. And that's because it's doing the record count. Let's say that you use favorite color as the metric instead. And we'll do the count. Here you can see that there's these null ones, and that's included. If you don't want the record count as well, you can just remove that. And so now we have here the colors and then some null values. Another breakdown dimension you could do now is the favorite color, which is from that one table, and then here is the other. So now we get this kind of color coded because we did it earlier, and it will show all of the data. And then if I use this, it'll then just show those colors. And let's say the purple that has some of the null, we'll see that null here as well. So now that this is connected, we have a lot of different things that we can do. And we can add like cat's better than dog and then do things there. I could even add like time charts. Now, if I do a time series with this one, it's not super great just because it's going to be, it's not like, it's just birthday. So it's going to look like this. And, you know, if I could add like, what is it? The age range or something as a breakdown, and then I'll just kind of give the colors. And, you know, that's kind of helpful, but this graph isn't great. So in this case, I'm going to actually delete it and maybe use what, a bar chart. And maybe this one I'll use year as the dimension. And then let's use age range as the breakdown. The metric, I don't want the sum of the year. Let's just do count. Not bad. And if I recall with these here, the bar chart, the bars that just starts with 10. So if you add more bars, then we'll get kind of this range. And last thing is I'll probably want it the min, and now I can put it in ascend. So we can see the different age range kind of coloring, and then you could also click in. It's a little small, but you can look in and drill into the data based off of this chart. Which again is kind of helpful. And I'm going to go ahead and just save this because sometimes it crashes and actually you lose. I unfortunately had that happen in this video, so I'm going to save. Here you can review who has access when when you're sharing it. Keep in mind that you have these two data sources, and if those are not accessible to the like editors and things like that, then it's not going to work. So this is looking pretty good. I wanted to at least save and have the version history. I might even call this the first save. Again, just to not lose data. It's always good to save it. So anyway, it's looking pretty good on what we have. Some different options here and how you can do those. We could add another control, like a slider, just in case you wanted to, adjust it here. What I'm going to do with the blended data is let's say the year as a control field, and it just kind of goes from 0 up to there. And I think like 1950 seems like a good, you know, minimum value. So I'm just going to do 1950. And then the max will be auto. So now you can kind of slide this like up to here. And it doesn't work quite as well when you're editing because you click it and then kind of moves everything. But when you're actually using it in the live form, it's a little more helpful. And I might make this look more like a button option. Yeah, that's not bad. So now you can see here that these different options. And just kind of as a reminder, and I'll put a chart here maybe just in case, this is the blended data. And it might be good just to show the count of years. Because again, we have some missing years in here. Ooh, I don't want some. Let's go back to count. So again, we have 230 records for the color data, you know, that stuff. But then here, the year, there's only so many. So, you know, either having a note in there would be good because we have nulls in here that aren't being shown. Just again, as a heads up while you're connecting these datas, and maybe you would want to actually switch it to make sure that both records are up to date, and then you would remove these. But again, it's totally up to you on how you want to make your data, and maybe all of yours will connect. It's just, you know, keep that in consideration for the date and records, or however it makes sense to you to add those. So, you know, we kind of have these sliders, we have these here, and, you know, there are other ways you can add to this one. I mean, feel free to add more charts or take a look. Last one I might do is like the table. Like maybe you want more information on the favorite colors. We don't really need a metric. Maybe the age range, cats better than dogs, and maybe you want the full names. So this kind of gives you this over here. It's a little bit small, but let's say that you want to look at like the blues. So you can see how many people like blues and cats better and their full names. And maybe we even want like age range or maybe their birthday. Who knows? Let's go this way, give it a little more room. And probably, let's maybe just move this up here. Oh, that doesn't look very great. I know. Let's put this up here. Again, you have to kind of mess with this. I just want a little more room. So here, if you, like you can tell here that I accidentally clicked. If you push reset, that'll just stop all of those. Because if you push one of these, you can see who, you know, the scarlet person put. So let's go to yellow. So now we're showing all the yellow and the young, old, normal, where they're, you know, the year is, and then you have this information in case someone wants to look at who actually put these. So, you know, this one's a bit full, but these are some different options. So now that we have that, I might expand this and name these pages. So I'll go to page, manage page, and then this one I'm going to rename to favorite things. And then this one, blended dates and faves. Something like that. I mean, and I might adjust this one because again, that cat's better than dogs. Oh, no, that wasn't it. That one. Since this one's a report level, that one's got moved. So, you know, just want to double check the two because that one's going to stay on both. And, you know, here we have these reports. You can, of course, make them better, cleaner, whatever. Oh, and another thing, that might actually make more sense to remove this one to page level, because now that's the blended data, and this one wasn't the blended data. So, if you wanted to add another color one, you could. If you want to just keep it like this, you totally could. I mean, I'll go ahead and just put the color one because I already had it. But always good to double check. So again, it depends on what the data source is. So favorite color, here we go. Honestly, I kind of like this look a little better. And then favorite colors. Just making sure that this is working. Yep. So there we are. And now we have this. And, again, I might name this as the finished. Again, I just don't want to lose stuff or, like I did the one time. So let's talk about sharing. So as I was kind of saying there, right now, I'm the only one with access. And with the link, it is restricted. You can have it unlisted where anyone with the link can view, but they can't find unless they have the link. Public, if someone happened to look up this report date or the favorites, they could stumble upon it. And so I'm just going to have this be unlisted. Hit save. Again, you can share it with others. So this is a different account. Let's say if I just put this link in. Here, I'm getting the no dataset access. So I don't have access. You can look at this. You can have people send an error code if you want. What's going on with this? Well, going back to my page, it's that this person needs access to the data. So let's just add this to anyone with the link can view. And just for fun, let's see what happens now. I'm going to refresh. So it looks like this page worked. It looks like this one worked too. So maybe you just needed access to the one. I would have thought this one would have needed access, which, yeah. Well, a little bit of mystery, but in any case, it's good to do that just in case and to see here. For those who are in view, they can actually present. Just gives a nice cleaner look. You can scroll through the data if you want. You can use the slider. It'll change the data and show, different ranges here. You can drill into the data to see who is, looking at green. You can even look like, okay, maybe we want this like 1983 person. Let's take a look. Wow, looks like blue is a big color. And, looking into that, cat people and not cat people. So, it's there. And let's just go here. So, yeah, I mean, that's a little bit more in depth, but there's still a lot more you can do in Looker Studio. But this is going from, that Google data, putting it into Looker Studio, and then sharing it with others and making these, kind of fun dashboards that allow you to share the data and let your stakeholders or whomever you're sharing have their own, access to it and be able to work and, drill down into the data and actually get insights of, I don't know, a campaign for purple, it's like there's a lot of cat people who like purple and dog people, the most is orange. So maybe make an ad for these, people who like dogs and make it orange and then cats purple, which, I don't know. However you'd use, there's not a really good use in this data set. But again, hopefully you find this helpful and hopefully there's a place that you might use this. I probably should have mentioned it earlier and I'll leave it in the comments just in case. But if you're on a Workspace account, like my Workspace account, for example, didn't have this button or option. So it might be that depending on the Google admin settings, it might not be something that your institution, your organization has access to. So might be worthwhile to check in with them to see if is this something that you want to use in the workplace there. Otherwise, it might not be possible at that point. Again, you can request, you can have people look into it, but just a side note, if you're not seeing that button, you can also just try going to like lookerstudio.com and seeing if that happens to work for you. If you get an error with it, that, you know, might be the case, but figured to put it somewhere. I'll put it in the description too. So if you were looking to use this and didn't try it or following along and then now seeing, apologies. But again, hopefully a resource you'll use at some point. So anyway, that's all that we're going to do here. Thank you again, and feel free to do those different YouTube things like subscribe, follow for more content like this. See you in the next one.